It's a brand new day, and the weekend edition of the program is called The Morning Brief. Your company every morning as you drive to work or just wake up from sleep. We'll be right here to make sure you have a beautiful morning and give you all the content you like to watch and see on television. Welcome to the program yet again. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
Yes, indeed. It's a day like any other where we're reminded that democracy is a slow pace of getting us to our final destination. But it's our responsibility to make a difference. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka. It's 21 days now to Christmas. Or is it 19 days now to Christmas?
Days.
Yes,
you
19
want to add
days
more
to
days?
Christmas. 19 days to Christmas, Jeffrey.
I almost got confused.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you guys for yesterday and to everybody who celebrated with me on my bed, and my wife, everybody, and all the messages.
Well, we still miss that opportunity of pouring water on you.
So what have you been tracking, Bukola?
Yeah, tracking, yes, Jeffrey. It's December the 6th, 5 days after December the 1st, when we would have heard, hue and cry about failure of state governments to implement the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira, for which Labour was supposed to react by mobilizing its state chairman, to begin a nationwide strike. But we didn't hear that because it seemed as if, a cross-section of state NLCs pulled out of the strike. And one after the other, we began to see them commending their state governors for approving minimum wage, much of which failed to meet the April deadline. The old minimum wage expired in April, and even the federal government, began implementation in September. But what we're hearing from those who are even yet to begin implementing after the October date, of which a lot of the states have begun implementing, they're announcing November. Zamfara State, for instance, has approved minimum wage commencement dates to be March 2024. So this speaks a lot to the strength of the state NLCs to represent the interests of their workers, and there's a lot that can go into that space, to find out if indeed the state governments are meeting all the other commitments in line with the welfare of workers, bonuses, allowances, check-off dues, their commitments to labor and all of that. So I wonder what the state NLC chairpersons are, commending state governments for, meeting their responsibilities, which is, first of all, ensures that salaries are paid. So if a state government is announcing that we're paying salaries, we're paying bonuses, we're paying 13th month, it is the responsibility of the state governors to do that. They haven't done anything that is exceptional. What would be exceptional is the transformation of the economic fortunes of the states in question. So the NLC National should look into the strength of the state chapters and indeed all the other affiliate unions to represent the interest of workers. Jeffrey.
Well, my take will be, if you fix subnationals, if you fix the Nigerian police, if you fix INEC, security agencies, and maybe the judiciary, Nigeria is going to go very far, because all our attention most of the time is on the president, the cabinet. If we take that energy, just 25 or even 50% of that energy to the states, Nigeria is going to get better. I've always said it. If you want to see abysmal performance, if you want to see heightened recklessness, fiscal recklessness, you're not seeing anything at the federal level, go to the states. Some of these governors are literal emperors. They have this House of Assembly under their purview, stooges. They have the local government trapped under them. They have literally everything under their control. So until we look at the subnationals and not necessarily looking away from the president, but the energy we used to look at the presidency, if we look at the states, things are going to get better. That's why you see some of these NLC leaders at state level literally compromising the interests of comrades who are agitating for better welfare and all of that. So it looks like you're fighting from within rather than coming together as leaders within the labor force to fight the government for the interests of workers. But that will not be all we'll be doing today on the program, Bukola.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
We'll continue to look into that space of youth representation, the efficacy of youth to represent, their own interests, and indeed the health of the nation itself, the economy, the polity, to advance the aspirations of the youth. So we're going to be dissecting the false narratives surrounding, they're putting the spotlight on the good work that the youth are doing.
That will not be all. Yesterday we did talk about security. Today we're talking tech advisory. So if you have any tech-related problem, there's a session. There's a segment for you. You're going to get insight on how to sort out those things on your laptop or your system or your device.
And the creative economy also will be in a line of vision as it has grown exponentially over the past few years. So what is the government's role in the successes of the industry and what gains have been made so far? The special assistant to the president on creativity will be our guest to shed more light on these issues.
And we'll also bring you Ike Mokwede Foundation Public Leaders Program dedicated to training public servants and impact them for their quality service on our citizens and service they provide in the civil space. It's quite commendable to see all of this happen at the end of the day, to see that it's not just the private sector that is talking, but also the public sector has, someone paying attention to their capacity to build and serve Nigeria better.
And that's not all. We also sit with Nollywood star today, Victoria Nwogu, to highlight her career and journey in the industry. So it promises to be an exciting one. It's a bumper package.
Absolutely. I don't like that one, but I'll manage it for now. It's a Friday edition of the show. It's Friday, and they say it's Friday. So super excited. We want to infect you with that excitement this morning. Of course, know how to join us. CTV Morning Brief on X, or you go to our WhatsApp number. It's up and running now. Send your messages and your videos. I know you have loads of concerns. Our responsibility is pretty simple, just to help you ventilate your thoughts. Keep it coming and bring it on, whether it's video or messages. No calls on the WhatsApp number, but on CTV Morning Brief, the hashtag on X, that is where we extract your thoughts and amplify it on our virtual screen. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you
just to mention that Kayode is unavoidably absent. For many of you asking questions, where is Kayode? He'll be back on Monday, inevitably.
He's going to be back on Monday. He's perfectly fine. He just has other responsibilities. All right, so take a quick break. I will come back for your top stories. Join us again. Up on the brief this morning, senators from the South-South geopolitical zone of Nigeria under the aegis of the South-South Senators Forum have expressed support for the tax reform bills presented to the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu. In a statement by the chairman of the forum, Senator Seriake Dixon, the lawmakers stressed the importance of tax reforms in boosting national revenue and fostering economic stability, and highlighted their commitment to conducting a comprehensive evaluation of the bills to ensure they align with the national interest, particularly the well-being of the South-South region.
Also from the south, but this time the southeast, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, is calling for Nigerians to properly understand the content of the tax reform bills before passing judgment on them. Speaking at the government house in Owerri, the Imo State capital, Governor Uzodimma believes that some of those against the bills have not studied the provisions, describing it as a document that has been crafted in a well-articulated manner and that deserves to be given proper attention.
It's business now. Bitcoin broke $1,000 for the first time. That's $1,000 mark for the first time as traders cheered Donald Trump's decision to pick major crypto proponent Paul Atkins to take over as chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, reinforcing optimism that the president will push through measures to deregulate the sector. The cryptocurrency soared through the mark, having enjoyed a blistering rally since the November 5 election of Donald Trump, who pledged on the campaign trail to make United States the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency capital of the world.
And outside our shores, Namibia's first woman president, Netumbo Ndaitwa has described her victory at the polls as one that has broken a glass ceiling. Speaking to reporters at her first briefing since her victory's announcement, she praised Liberia's former head of state, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who in 2006 became the first woman president of the African continent, for being the one who really led the way. The vice president secured just past 57% of the vote, well ahead of the candidate for the main opposition, Independent Patriots for Change, on 25.5%. The election authority announced this on Tuesday.
And to the world of sports, Philippines boxing legend Manny Pacquiao will be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2025. The organization has announced this just yesterday, Thursday. The 45-year-old was world champion from flyweight through super welterweight divisions in a career that spanned from 1995 to 2021. Pacquiao is among 14 individuals set to be enshrined at the Hall of Fame in Canastota, New York.
And a quick check on the world of entertainment. Nigerian Afrobeat superstar Asake has emerged the most streamed artist of 2024 on Spotify Nigeria. This is a largely successful year where his record-breaking third studio album, Lungu Boy, recorded 18 million streams on Spotify Nigeria in its first week.
Lonely at the top, lonely, lonely, lonely. Money on my mind. Come on, the guy.
Jeffrey, is that what you listened to yesterday?
No, not really. I like the guy, and I'm happy he's succeeding. So I've always said, when it comes to African music, just leave it for Nigeria. We're dominating, and we'll keep dominating. I'm sorry for other African countries, but that's what it is at the end of the day. But those are the stories we've been tracking for you at this moment, as far as you're tracking the stories as of yesterday to early part of this morning. But we'll switch gears now to other things on the program, which has to do with what you've been saying on Exbukola.
Yes,
I think you have this one.
We start this time, we know, pigging back, so to speak, relatedly on our conversation from yesterday, where we spoke about the civic space. So it seems as if it's featuring yet again this morning on Trends, as the former governor of Kaduna State is in search of a woman who accused him of hiding cash in his residence, and that formed a talking point on X yesterday. So the
is
first
actually his
user,
son that is in search. Bello El-Rufai.
Bello El-Rufai.
Yeah, who is a member of the House of Representatives.
Oh, pardon me, I got confused with the El-Rufai name. So Mega Mixer is the first user this morning who says, just as I commented on the original post, I hope some people won't find themselves behind bars, all in the name of farming or framing impressions for Elon Musk's money. The picture she posted is on the internet and not new, neither is it as she described it.
So what I saw on the internet was the fact that she had posted alleging a few things that suggested there was some criminality going on within the house of the former governor, and his son was part of it, and later said it was fake news. So the guy said, no, I'm not going to let this go. You will face the court. So we're going to have that day in court. So that is the premise of this conversation. Just to give it context, Biz Collection says it serves her right. Such false news shouldn't be tolerated here on X.
And Parawa Prince says, I don't know her, but I want you to forgive her, please. As a public figure, accusations like these will always come. But if you're clean, nothing to be afraid of.
Akbarawa. Okay, Sammy Jagaban says, I'm Igbo as well, but if you catch her, deal with her very well. People just joke with the internet, this internet too much. The news you are not sure of, you rush and post. No here, sorry, Oga.
The Ekun or Ayokapwe says, once he arrests the person now, you go see another hashtag. People will just sit somewhere and defame others and at the same time expect no consequence. And so that is the bane of, making dangerous comments about the character of other people, because it goes far and wide, and so you have to be certain about what you say.
That's a culture we maintain here on Channels Television. We base it on facts, we base it on the truth. We're objective and impartial. We try to make sure it is verified before we put out any news. So that's a culture everybody should actually inculcate. It will help all of us at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
All right. Bukola, you have the next one as well.
So, on to the next talking point now. All senators representing the South-South geopolitical zone of Nigeria in the 10th Senate have endorsed the tax reform bills. And we saw that yesterday as former governor of Bayelsa State and senator led the endorsement. And Investor K has just 2 lines. Good one, I commend them for this.
And the move says the beauty of it is that economic hardship, poverty, hunger do not have, is it boundary, I guess you wanted to say. It does not know north or south. Everybody will pay for it.
And Oloye says the tax reform bill is good for the country. I expect the northerners who are against this bill to recommend amendments and not reject the bill. Nigeria will definitely succeed.
All right, the next one has to do with the police saying that they recovered 31 million naira from 4 police officers who extorted that amount unlawfully from the civilians they arrested. And we must commend the police, Bukola, on this. But when they do well, we will cheer you, we'll clap for you, we'll celebrate you. So this is a big win for us. And I hope those officers will be dismissed and prosecuted.
Made an example of.
Yes, not just dismissed, and prosecuted, because they used the instrumentality of states to extort citizens that they were supposed to protect. So commendations goes to the police. Ishola says 31 million from police officers. These people should be dealt with without mercy. They know the law and still breach it. And
Uche says, why call them policemen? They are criminals, and that's what they truly are.
Godwin says, rogue police. Money where no be, okay, money where no be your own, you pack up, go hide. They shouldn't be in court. They should be court-martialed and dismissed from the police summarily. I'm sure the police is going to do that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yes, those are the stories we're tracking for you on X, as well as far as your thoughts and your concerns are coming through. Don't forget, we have a WhatsApp number. You can share it on your WhatsApp, on our WhatsApp number before the end of the show, or somewhere in between. We'll bring you up to speed as to exactly what you're saying, because that's our responsibility right here, to amplify your voice. But we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, it's going to be time for us to talk about leaders, young leaders who are not just sitting by, they are doing something to reposition the fortune of our country. Today, we'll speak with them, and now they are blazing the trail. Join us again. Welcome back. Let's pay attention to young people that are doing big things in Nigeria, not just outside Nigeria. They are looking at different spaces and asking themselves, what can we do differently to reposition the fortune of our country while finding expression in doing so and fulfillment? Well, we've converged about 3 of them on the program today to say, hey guys, let's find out what exactly you've been up to and how you can help inspire other young people. So that's why we're doing this particular segment on pushing this narrative about young people being leaders of not just thought, but enterprise and everything in between. We're being joined on the program by the co-founder of PiggyVest. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Terry Kanu. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio. We also have joining us Gift Solomon, owner and founder of Giffy Real Estate, joining us from Dubai, and also Salisu Uber, founder, NatQuest Limited in the United Kingdom. Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, let's start from Lagos studio before we get to our friends virtually. Mr. Kanu, somebody was asking me what exactly is PiggyVest. I know about that. But for the young people who are aware of technology, a lot of people just consume technology without thinking of how to exploit it, maybe to reposition their finances and all of that. But you guys sat down and said, what can we do differently as far as the financial system is concerned? Maybe you begin by telling us your story as briefly as possible and why you chose to do with your partner what you guys are doing.
All right, thanks for having me and thanks for the question. So we started quite young. We started in university. We all went to the same university, Covenant University. So we built some things out there in university, and we made a splash in school. So when we got out, we figured that, we've done these things, let's see what we can do for Nigeria at large, not just, this university-focused products. Let's see something that can scale throughout the country. So we started out with a few products. We started out with Push CV, a recruitment type service, connecting employers to job seekers. Then we ventured out into consumer finance, PiggyVest, that helps users to save and invest their money. So the story of how we started is very long and very complex. Yeah. So okay. So 2014 was when we first got our start when it comes to funding. So we were lucky enough to have an angel investor, Lobide Shoyembo, investors about $25,000 at first. So at that time, that was about 4 million naira. So that was a lot of money for us, and we quickly scaled our products, and we were very surprised to see the very positive response we got. So a little bit of luck is involved, but so much dedication, so much long nights are put into it.
We're going to get to details because I know you're just around it, so that people, because the whole idea of bringing you guys here is to tell your story, and not necessarily to market your product, because you have to pay us for that.
Of course.
But using your story to inspire other young people at the end. Let's get to, I almost say let's get to Dubai. Actually, we're getting to Dubai. Let's talk with Gift Solomon, who is the owner and founder of Giffy Real Estate. When it comes to real estate, for instance, I know that it's not something that before now used to be a conversation among young people, but now it's almost a narrative around young people when it comes to real estate. Why do you think this is, and why did you get involved in real estate?
Very true. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for having me live here today. Well, when it comes to real estate and young people, a lot of us have started thinking, and we're trying to build generational wealth, right? We're trying to be secure. And the best way to do so is investing in the health, because it's real, right? So a lot of young people are seriously considering, because sometimes the fear of being poor or the fear of not being good in life just scares you. So right now we're looking at ways to create generational wealth, and a lot of us are just like into real estate, and Dubai is a great place to invest in as well.
So, Gift, let me just, put what you're doing a bit in proper context, so that many Nigerians will understand, that what you're doing is actually an effort that has resulted in a great feat. So for those who have been to Dubai, they know that quite a number of Nigerians are into very menial jobs, into works as salespersons, stewards, maids, and all of that, just to make ends meet. And some are working on the street. And if you go to apartments where they live, they actually, live in clusters. You're trying to assist each other. So that's pretty much the situation of what Nigerians are doing in Dubai. But you are making a difference. You've founded a real estate business. Help us understand how you were able to make a difference and achieve this feat.
All right. So first, I'll give you a quick backstory of myself. What you said about Nigerians here in the UAE doing menial jobs and just starting off from somewhere is 100% correct. Because I, for one, have not always been the founder of Giffy Real Estate. I started off as a delivery rider. As a matter of fact, I'm the UAE's first female delivery rider, and not just in the UAE, within the region. When I got here, obviously, I came to Dubai a couple of years ago, about 9 years now. When I got, I was looking for jobs, and I found myself like many other Nigerians looking for job, looking for something to make ends meet. Because before I left home, I wasn't even a graduate. I left school because I wanted to help my family that has been giving me everything, like trying to support myself and my siblings, making sure we're okay. I just thought, you know what? I really need to help them. And it got to my turn when I was in school. When I got to school, things went south. They couldn't really support me financially, and I thought to just leave Nigeria. And then Dubai wasn't the first choice for me. The first choice would have probably been somewhere else, but then it was the easiest visa to get. So when I got here, I found myself in the same situation, searched for a job for a couple of months before I eventually got something. Eventually, I became a food delivery rider. I was delivering food around. But then the good thing is I saw opportunities in this field or this career path as a delivery rider here in Dubai. And luckily for me, Dubai acknowledge things like this because they know that we're putting a lot of effort. It takes a lot of courage to actually be a delivery rider in this role and all of that. So they encouraged me, started endorsing me, and then giving me opportunities. And I saw an opportunity. The reason was because I was ready, right? So I grabbed on this, and then over time, I started. When I got here, we were 8 in the room. In my flat, we were like 3 different rooms in one flat. I was staying in one of them, 8 of us, the other place 8, and the other one 6. So you can imagine just the living situation. But that didn't define what I wanted. It didn't define me as a person, because I knew it was a stage in my life that I'm going to get past. So after some time, I started like working out. I started off like taking people around. Whenever I have my day off, I would always go and say, okay, let me take you around. Tour guides, like Nigerians who come to Dubai, I will always show them around. So it became a thing, and I transitioned from there, meeting a lot of people. I transitioned into, okay, helping them secure investment here. And it just became like the next milestone for me to actually scale, left the job I was doing, and I started real estate. And I didn't start as a founder, I started as an agent and introducer between developers and individuals that wanted to invest. And all thanks to God, everything became great. But I'm saying all of this to say that it's not always where you started from. It is how ready you are, how fast you are to take on opportunities, because there are some people that will still be doing the same job that I was doing back then, or probably just be left and then they'll be like, oh, I'm tired, I want to go back home. No, I did that I worked in that company for 6 years.
And that's an
so
inspiring...
when I'm going to this as the founder today, there's a backstory to it.
Yeah, and that's an inspiring story. We'll get back to know how lucrative it is. But let's get to Mr. Uba now. Mr. Salisu Uba, you are the founder of NatQuest Limited, United Kingdom. And correct me if I'm wrong, your story says it actually started in Nigeria before it moved to the United Kingdom. So the United Kingdom is a place where, for many who return to tell their stories, is not necessarily an environment that gives the black person the full opportunity to rise above average, do something exceptional. Of course, there are people who have defied the odds, like, the leader of the Conservative government now, Ms. Kemi Badenoch. But tell us your own story about how you were able to change your fortune.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Like I said, my name is Salisu Uba, and I am the founder and CEO of NatQuest. NatQuest is a supply chain technology company. We help businesses, some of the Fortune 500 companies to 100 companies, access supply chain expertise on demand. So for me, my story, I was actually here in Scotland, particularly to do my PhD. I did my PhD within the intersection of supply chain, blockchain, and of course, technology adoption. How can companies, change their narrative around digital transformation, especially in supply chain? And to many people, supply chain is like oxygen, right? It is only noticed when it is not there. So when I finished my PhD, you are right. NatQuest started in Nigeria, where we actually provide supply chain and procurement consulting to government organizations within oil and gas, manufacturing, and other sectors. But right after COVID, everything changed. Right, there's a lot of shift in how businesses can work, with the remote working and all of that. So we saw an opportunity to bring technology into supply chain, and that's exactly what I did. We built this platform in order to help businesses from all over the world work with professionals in supply chain. Supply chain is a quite niche area. You need a lot of skills and competencies, and over the period of COVID, it was really challenging for many businesses to tap into the right expertise that they are looking for. Now, in the context of whether United Kingdom is creating an avenue for people like me to thrive, I would say absolutely the case is quite unique. There's a lot of opportunities in terms of how you can change your narrative, especially if you have an innovative idea. So for example, in my case, I was one of the few people to be recognized by the UK government through the Tech Nation as a global exceptional leader in digital technology. And it's because of the idea that I see solving a quite important problem within a $3.3 trillion industry. And apart from that, we have participated in some of the most competitive accelerators and programs for startups within technology and innovation, particularly the likes of Barclays, Tech Nation, Scottish Enterprise. We've been backed by DCO and many other organizations. So for me, my experience is entirely different in terms of the path that you want to take here in the UK. There's always an enormous opportunity for people like me or people that look like me. But one of the most important things is about the solution that you have, the idea that you have, and what impact does that make. We've just been invited to participate in COP16 in Saudi Arabia, bringing our solution to how it is going to tackle sustainability, reducing carbon footprint and achieving net zero for all the countries that are participating in the United Nations Conference of Parties.
All right, Salisu. Fantastic. Your story is such that we can just keep listening. We wish it resonates with everyone the same way, but it's a different story altogether for other people. But that's why we brought you. Maybe there's a corridor out there that people are not looking through that will look through. But let's bring it back to Mr. Khan, who is in our Lagos studio. And I want to lift up some of the things he said and look at the peculiarity of the Nigerian state where you operate and do business with your partner. One of the things I really like to find out, I guess the audience would like to know as well, is you did a miniaturized element of your business in school, and it worked, and you said, okay, why can't we scale or expand this to what it is today? But how did you look at the big banks and all the financial sector and dared to say, okay, this is how we will walk our way in and gain the attention of Nigerians, especially the young people? I know a lot of young people who are using PiggyVest.
Okay, yeah, so the thing is, we just automated an already existing practice, which is people that put in a little bit of money in their piggy box. So we just automated that process, and fortunately for us, nobody else was doing that at that time. So when when the product was built and we put it out to the public, we got a very potent, a very loud response, a very loud positive response, because why hasn't this been done before? So we were very lucky, very fortunate to be the ones to bring forth that kind of automated savings protocol to the market. We could have done it with without the existence of our partner Paystack, because they're the ones to first do that recurring payment infrastructure that we ride on. So a lot of things came together at once to enable PiggyVest coming to light.
The reason I asked that question is to say, as young people are watching you now, they are sometimes we're encumbered by the challenges that the Nigerian country as Nigeria faces, and so to even see the light is quite difficult. What exactly do you advise to people who just see gloom and dark?
Okay. So the thing is, we live in a very interesting point in human history where all human knowledge is available and accessible. I'm talking about the internet, of course. So that resource is, I don't think people understand the immense wealth and value that resource has. You can literally learn anything you want to learn on the internet. So where it now comes is, okay, now that I can learn anything, what should I learn? And how do I apply what I learn to create something valuable? All right, so there's a bit of wisdom to it, but the fact remains that that resource is available, and it's also very easy to know the skills that are demanded for these days. So if you go into the internet and Google what are the most demanded skills and services required in 2024, You see that. You also see free courses, free resources, free materials on how to get at least the basic information and the basic ground level knowledge you need to have skills in those areas. So if you really want it, if you are dedicated enough, and if you have the patience, I think you can achieve a lot.
I'm tempted to ask this, but I don't want to promote your business because we're doing enough as it is already to inspire Nigerians. But I want to, I'm trying to explore the mind of the average Nigerian now who would rather use a piggy bank rather than, explore the opportunities of piggyvest. So what does the average Nigerian stand to gain by picking the automated choice?
Great, I'm very happy you asked that question.
I know you would be.
It gives me a chance to market the product. Yeah, so piggyvest, we have 5 million users. All right, we've been around since 2016, and we've paid out 1.8 trillion naira. So with those stats, we can tell that we actually do something right, and we're actually providing valuable service to the customer, to our users. So the reason why people, I think, opt into piggyvest and the automated feature, and the automation is just one feature that we offer on piggyvest. There are a lot of other features, but let me not market too much. But you can save without thinking about it.
All right.
Yes.
That's enough. Let's go to...
anyway.
Let's go to gifts now. And this question will also go to Mr. Oba eventually because of your location. What are the opportunities available within your space to help change the narrative about young Nigerians, abroad, who are often seen as onto no good most of the time, arrested for all of the crimes that we've heard in the public space? So what are the opportunities available in your space with what you're doing to tell a different story, particularly to the governments of the countries where you are, that Nigerians are different people with big dreams and people of integrity?
That's great. So first things first, right? We as Nigerians, by default, we are survivors. By default, we're survivors. And from everyone telling the story right here, from all three of us, one thing that's connected, or one thing that's common within the story is opportunities, right? We all see opportunities and we go for them, and we actually take them. So around my space right now, things that I would say by default, again, we're creators. So in the real estate segment here, there are so many things that one as Nigerian you can do. You could be, obviously, videographers pay so well. They pay a lot, and then creators as well, and then even being an introducer, right? You don't have to be the one investing in real estate. You just need to know someone that wants to invest and connect the dots, and that way you're going out with like a lot of commissions as well. And more so, being here in Dubai is somewhere that is filled with opportunities. I mean, the population here, just 10% are actually locals, which is the Emiratis. Every other people are foreigners, and how are they making it in life? How are they connecting? You just need to connect to the right person, and if you're connecting, all you need to do is just chip in the water. You know what? You're looking to invest here in Dubai, you just do that dot and you're going on to a lot of money. That's one. And then two is learning skills. There are so many things. I, for one, when I came here, I wished I learned a lot. I wish, I learned how to make hair, how to do nails, how to do a lot of things. There are a lot of options here just from even doing home services or just doing your friends, people that you're making a lot. One, the exchange rate also helps us as well, because if we're sending money back home, we're able to support home and then do all of that. But one thing I would like to put out there is, even if you're not where you are right now, it's not where you want to be, just keep pushing, and at the end of the day, it will all end up in joy, because while you're waiting for the opportunity, you need to also get prepared. So when it comes, you're able to acknowledge that this is an opportunity.
All right.
Because sometimes where we fail is we want stuff, but we're not ready. Because when it comes, we don't know how to acknowledge that this is actually an opportunity.
All right, let's take it to Salisu. one of the things I would like to find out, I'm looking at your profile. There's a lot you do, especially in the tech space. And I'm wondering, from where you sit, I don't think you're seeing that people are not exploring and you're saying, oh, this is money just walking by. As far as the technology is concerned, that an average Nigerian young person can actually just plug in if only you know what lies ahead. If you can help a young person who is watching find out that today, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely right. Probably, I think that's something that worries me almost on daily basis, that there is enormous opportunities within supply chain that probably people don't actually see. So for me, there's enormous opportunities in terms of, okay, let's break it this way. Everything you see in this world, from the infrastructure to hospitals to schools, right, to any functional system, there is a working supply chain behind it, right? There's enormous opportunities to transform supply chain, right? And one of the competitive advantage that we have in Nigeria is the people, right? Especially the youthful population that we have. Now, for you to tap into supply chain, you have to understand the dynamics of supply chain, how supply chain works, right? How you can use technology to improve the process of getting product and services at the right time, at the right quality, of course, of the right reason. So for us at NatQuest, we have enormous opportunities for people that have the right skills to help businesses globally, right? But you need to understand that there are really interesting skills and competencies that are required for you to be in supply chain. And I think this is something that probably we're not looking at in Nigeria. We need to really tap into that. And then secondly, for us, we have created a platform and we provide a lot of guidance in terms of how people can understand the dynamics of supply chain and be the driving force for creating better opportunities for themselves. And then lastly, we all know that there is a lot of conversation around AI and the impact of AI in supply chain, right, and other sectors. But for us at NatQuest, what we see is that there is already an intersection between AI and human collaboration. So there is a lot to look into, especially in terms of improving our own lives, you know, the way different industries in manufacturing, healthcare, defense, oil and gas, everything can only function when you have a functional supply chain. And that's what we are doing exactly. And I believe a lot of people can see the opportunity and tap into what truly supply chain can deliver for different businesses, right, different sectors, and to our lives as well.
Let's bring it to Kano in the studio. When you look at the government, what is the government not doing right to help young people achieve their aim or their dream, as it were? Because that's also a conversation that we cannot ignore. There are few persons who are able to break that and succeed. May not be everybody's story. And so if there's a system that is functional enough to enable more people, we'll all be happy for it. So from where you are, what are you seeing that the government is not doing that should help people really skill? Maybe even your business and all the businesses we're celebrating today would have even done better if government had done that thing you want to tell us they are not doing.
Okay, so there's always more to be done. It's not just peculiar to Nigeria, but everywhere in the world. There's always more to be done. So in Nigeria, we have a very high, very deep internet penetration in Nigeria. I think up to 60%, I believe. That's thanks to thanks to the telcos and thanks to smartphones. So we have millions of Nigerians online. So what would be great? What can be done to help businesses, even in Nigeria, is to increase the purchasing power of Nigerians. So over the years, we've seen that the number of people that can afford, that have that disposable income reduce over time.
It's even worse right now.
Yeah. So and that greatly impacts the businesses. So we've heard stories this year of a lot of businesses closing down and some international businesses scaling down their operations in Nigeria. And a lot of that is because of the very low number of people that can afford these services and products that these companies are providing. So a more robust, bubbly middle class would be an ideal, fantastic environment for businesses.
What would you say?
To thrive.
In specifics.
So I'm trying to use the right words here. So I'm speaking specifically about the economic situation, economic environment, not particularly regulatory, and because I have to say, regulatory-wise, the government has been very good to us, and I mean we exist and we are thriving. So what can be done for us? What can be done that can supercharge our business? Is that economic environments, people having disposable income, people having don't have to think too much about spending money on services and products that can enhance and enjoy their lives a lot better. So I think that's very specific.
All right. So for many Nigerians who would look at you and say that, okay, you're probably privileged, and when you were sharing your story, you talked about having gotten some form of financial support, and these Nigerian youths are disillusioned because they think that the state doesn't offer them the opportunity to achieve big dreams as you have achieved. What would you be saying to them right now?
Yes, you're very right. A lot of the possibility of success varies on your background. So some people that are raised in high income families have higher opportunities for success. But we have people that work in piggy vests that came from very low income families, but I know how much they're earning very well. And why is that? Because they built value within themselves, and is also part of that resource I spoke about. Some of the best engineers that I know that work with me, that work with a company, that work with other companies, they didn't learn in school. They went online and looked at courses online, took those courses, practiced, and became who they are today, utilizing that vast resource I spoke about. So, like I said earlier, if you really want it, you can get it. You just need dedication and lots of patience, because that success you're looking forward to come overnight. It takes a very long time, 5 years, 10 years, if you're lucky enough, 1 year, but that dedication must be there.
All right. So when are you coming to advertise on our platform?
I think we have actually at some points, yeah.
Just in case. All right, Terry Kanu is the co-founder. Terry Kanu is the co-founder. They are making a lot of money now. Terry Kanu is the co-founder of Piggy Vest. He joins us in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much for what you guys are doing. We're proud of you young guys who are doing these big things. Thank you. Gift Solomon, owner and founder of Gifty Real Estate in Dubai, joining us via Zoom, as well as Sally Su Uba, the founder of NatQuest Limited from the UK. Gentlemen and ladies, and lady, thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, it will be time for us to explore further down the technology line. If your PC is having issues, well, it's time to get together, sit down, watch this channel, because we have a guy, we call it the PC Fix. He's going to help you fix your device. Just in a moment. Join us again.
Welcome back. So if you are a tech unsavvy, note the word person like me, this segment is for you. We're going to be looking into the use of our devices, the usability or otherwise of it, and why we have challenges sometimes because we don't have an understanding of how they function. So joining us to do a bit of education for us on this segment is Mr. Akin Bitoye, who is a tech advisor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's start with what is common. Devices consume a lot of data, and I hear that a whole lot.
Oh, yes.
Some people would say that, the type of phone I'm using is a really big phone, and it consumes all of my data. I buy 5,000 naira, and in 2 weeks it's gone. So what is the problem with that, and how can it be solved?
Well, technology devices become so ubiquitous that they have to communicate with the internet. often. So these days, you have updates, security updates, operating system, that's the software update, the apps updates, that's what the chief culprit is. So regardless of how technologically advanced your phone is, or computer, or tablet, like the ones we're holding, as long as they communicate with the internet, they would update. So what you would want to do is to disable automatic updates when you are on a data plan. For example, I've heard someone say, oh, my office, we bought 300 gigabytes of data and it did not last 1 month. So that's the first thing to do. Disable automatic updates on your devices. Then you can update them when you are on an unlimited internet Wi-Fi connection or something.
So even when you turn off mobile data,
yes,
and just because you're saving data overnight and then you put it back on.
You're not saving data because everything is backed up, waiting for you. Once the internet connection comes, everything comes back in. So you did not really save, any data. Yes. Second thing you would want to do is turn off automatic downloads for your messaging apps, because most times I've had people's WhatsApp backups running to like 15, 20, 30 gigabytes because they are in thousands of groups. Most of them are not personal, some of them are for work. So you have video files, audio files, voice notes, you have documents, and you know some people are very bad with memes. Once there's a meme video, they just dump it in different groups. So all of those things would impact your internet data.
Okay, so you turn off download.
Automatic downloads. So you only download what you want to watch, what you want to listen to, what you want to read. That will save your data. Another thing to do is to reduce the quality of your streaming services. I know
what does that mean?
Streaming services, I mean Netflix and the like, or YouTube. So what you do is, some people cannot watch videos if it's not 4K. High quality, high definition, hearing the Dolby sound, right?
Then you get a full complement of the video.
You watch the same video in HD or even SD, standard definition. However, if you are trying to save your internet data usage, you might want to reduce the quality of the videos you watch. That would also help. Another thing to do is, for mobile apps, uninstall the apps you are not using. You know, we tell ourselves, I will remove this next week, or I'll download this app.
We do that by swiping up, right? Swiping up to turn it off. No,
you do not do that. Once you swipe up, you are just minimizing the app on your mobile phone or your tablet. If you minimize, you press the home screen, or you just go up, you have just minimized. To close it, you need to go and exit the app.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is you uninstall the apps you are not using, because in the background they still communicate with the internet.
Oh,
yes.
Uninstall. Take them out.
If you are not using them.
Okay.
There are some of us, well, I think I'm a culprit too. You open tabs on your browser. Before you know it, you are reading 70, 80, 90 tabs. Because you don't close them.
Guilty as charged.
I know. We are all in on it together. So those tabs communicate with the internet as well, because they refresh in the background. So what you'd want to do is to close the tabs that you are not using, or you just use different tabs.
I think I have about 70 on right now.
Oh, congratulations. I think my wife has about 120 something.
Okay.
And please close this thing. Say, I'll close it. You know, I want to watch these videos.
Okay. So let's leave saving data now and to go to malfunctioning of devices.
All right.
There are times when people talk about their port, and it keeps, that thing degenerates.
Oh, it does.
So how do you save it from getting entirely bad? And then you could also want to talk to us about why our phones hang sometimes, and they're not functioning. And I have so many questions.
Oh.
Devices, PCs.
Yes.
There are times when the screen, just develops lines and then it becomes blurry.
Okay.
So is that the end of that PC, or can it be salvaged?
It's not. Okay, let me pick it from the last, then we'll walk it backwards. Yeah. So for your computer screens, on a computer, on the technological device or technology gadget, there are a few things that wear out over time, and they go bad and they need replacement. One is the screen. Second is the battery. Third, you would have the hard drive or the storage medium. Hard drive, solid state drive, regardless. So these three things will wear out over time, just like you have to change the tires of your car. You would have to change the battery at some point in time. You would have to change the engine oil at some point. So it's the same with computer devices. When your computer or your phone or your tablet or whatever device develops lines on the screen has reached the time the manufacturer set for it. Most of these devices don't get here like until 3-4 years after the
manufactured it.
Yes, and some of them sit on shelves for years. So the time the manufacturer produced it, they have a lifespan. And once the line starts showing up, start saving to get it replaced. Just get a qualified technician, they will say change that for you. For the charging ports, these things have a lifespan. When you connect a charging cable, you disconnect. I would always say this, please try and move about with your charging cable. You know, do you have a charging cable there? You plug. Those charging cables have different specifications.
Okay.
They have different.
So when even you plug, if we're both using Type C, I should not be so quick to use your own Type C charger.
So buy a spare. So you know that you are using the same cable wherever you are. When you borrow someone else's cable, some of them have different connections inside. You have Thunderbolts that are...
Yeah, but what if I lose my Follow-Com charger and I have to go and buy another?
I like that colloquial usage. Yes. Oh, no, seriously, that's what we do. So the people who import most of these things do not import spares. When you buy a phone, it comes with a charger. So for you to get a spare that looks like that, it's somewhat a bit tricky. What you would want to do is, when you buy a phone, make sure you buy a spare. Cables are not as expensive as the phones you've bought anyway. So have spare, one at home, one at the office, one in your bag. So you know you are using your own cable. I'm not saying there are not times when you would be caught unawares and you need to quickly use the charger. Yes, but don't make it a habit. So these charging ports, when you plug, disconnect, they have a lifespan. Some of them have, even those cables, you notice after some time they start breaking. They have it about 500, 1,000. You have some braided cables. They look like cloth. Those are even stronger than your regular rubber cables. So the charging port, once you have issues with it.
Thank you for that one.
Oh yes, braided cables are better than the rubber ones.
Okay.
Because they are built stronger. Once your charging port starts having issues, get a technician to replace it. So there's something called motherboard, which is like the printed circuit board where all the components on the computers, your phone are. Then there are some things called daughter boards. That's where your charging port lives.
Okay.
So they just replace the daughter board for the charging port, regardless if it's the micro USB, which people call BlackBerry. It's not BlackBerry port, it's just micro USB. Then the Type C is now like the standard for mobile phones, mobile devices. Even the top tier devices, all of them now use Type C.
Okay.
So it makes it, you have a universal charger. Remember back in the days when Steve Jobs was announcing the iPhone, they had this proprietary charger back then, this 30-pin connector. And you cannot use another charger. Exactly. But now everything is being harmonized. Driven chiefly by the European Union. They are not, they are very averse to companies monopolizing charging ports and all of that. So now Type C is like the gold standard
for them. Okay, so it would be remiss of us to have this conversation without talking about safety. And I want you to talk about that, if you can, in 60 seconds. There are reports flying about, and they are going via WhatsApp as well, about how we need to be careful not to use certain cables when we're not within our safety zone. Yes, I saw it. So talk to us about that. How do we even know, particularly, you know, when there's that exception when you don't have a charging device and you're totally out of battery? How can you identify that cable that is going to download all your safety data, your bank data? Well,
I have good news and I have not so good news. The good news is, unless you are a high value target, high net worth individual, what do they want to do with your data? Do you get? Secondly, those cables are not cheap. Those devices, yes, they make a lot of waves online because people are like, wow, a cable can do this. They're not cheap. So for your average Joe to get it, that would not happen. However, if you move around with your charging cable, you have another layer of security among them. These cables have been so engineered for security purposes, as in I mean security outfits. They are not really meant to hack people's phones, so to speak, but that's what they do. Once you plug them in.
I have one question. Just one question. Yes. Which is, I have one question, which is just one question. Overnight charging. How dangerous is it? Perpetual overnight charging.
In one word, you are killing the battery.
Okay.
In one word. Okay, in two words, or at least multiple words. When your battery is 100% charged, the battery is meant to charge and discharge. And of course, we know in these parts, you are not sure if electricity will be available. So you plug it. So once it's 100%, discharge it. As in disconnect. Let your phone discharge normally. At some point, the battery has a chip on it, it will forget it's supposed to discharge.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, Bob, this battery is not lasting 6 months. It's not the battery's fault. You did not allow it to do the work. Once you charge, let it discharge. Okay. Sometimes you allow your battery to go low,
so
10%, so that you can charge it full.
Yeah.
The same with your tablet and your laptops.
Okay.
Because most times we just leave our laptops on plugged.
Leave the socket perpetually on.
Yes.
Guilty as charged.
Oh,
okay.
I know.
So I'm going to repent from today. We've learned so much from this segment. I've learned that the braided cables are better than the plastic cables. Yes. We've been talking with Mr. Akin Bitoye, a tech advisor. We hope that you've learned a lot from this segment, and we'll be bringing you more of this, just to help you get through your daily routine. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll have that very important conversation about capacity building in the public sector. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's now time to talk about the Ike Imokwede Foundation Public Leaders Program. And what is it about this program that is actually setting it apart for others? One of the big things about this program is the fact that it is focused on building capacity for people in the civil service. If you don't have a good civil service, then you do not have a system in place. That is why it's critical to ensure that our civil servants and those who serve in public offices are enabled just like their counterparts in the private sector. And so we're being joined on the program by the Director of Programs of Ike Imokwede Foundation, Chioma Njoku, joining us from our Abuja studio. Chioma, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
I've done my bit to try to explain what the foundation is really all about, and I get the picture, but you are the director. Maybe you can help us, synopsize what it is all about and the impact you're making.
Thank you very much. I'll start with a poser, if you don't mind. If I were to ask you your feeling or your thoughts about Nigeria and the state of the country, 0 to 10, what rating would you give it?
Well, I'm the one that asked the question. Maybe you can answer on my behalf, and I wouldn't mind.
Okay, so many people are sort of disheartened, right, about the status of the country. And sometimes we think that this is just us as the general public, but the people in the service feel the same way. People have gotten in the service trying to make a change, and having gotten there, have met tough challenges that they feel they are not able to surmount. Right? And so what the Ike Imokwede Foundation is doing through the Public Leaders Program is to remind public servants of why they are in service. And there are many aspects of this program that are different from regular training programs, and I'll start from the first one. Even the selection process itself, when they get on board, when they apply for the program, we ask you questions that try to remind you, why are you in service? Why did you join the public service? Right? We ask you questions around your daily job. How does it contribute to the work that your ministry, your department, your agency is supposed to be doing? And most importantly, how is your work changing the life of the everyday Nigerian or the general public? And so this training that we deliver to public servants is supposed to transform their mindsets from the apathy that many of them feel in working in government to reminding them of the service delivery aspect of their daily jobs.
So let's talk about productivity in the public service. And this question is very, very important. When you consider the data that is coming through, just a week ago or so, the NBS released a report about local governments not generating revenue. And, public servants are exposed to a lot of courses, trainings from leadership training institutes, not just the Ike Imokwede Foundation. So what differentiates your institute from, the impact that it would have on the public sector with the training programs that you offer?
All right, so we categorize our interventions in the public service in 3 ways. There's the people, there's the processes, and there's technology. And the AIGPLP focuses on the people, and that's because we believe that the processes and technology aspects cannot be effectively dealt with if the people who are supposed to drive the process or use the technology are not properly equipped. So the AIGPLP has some modules that speak to, again, name implies leadership, right? We're trying to build leadership capacity. And they go through modules like, delivering public services in times of challenge and change, how to communicate effectively, maintaining integrity in service. And so what differentiates the AIGPLP from other training programs is that this is not a technical training, no. It's a leadership training. It's a mindset development or mindset changing kind of program where we are trying to remind them of why you're in government, what is your government supposed to be doing, and what is supposed to be your own contribution to transforming change. And I'll give you an example. So there are people who have been in service for 10, 15, 20 years, right? And because of the kind of corruption or inefficiency that they've seen in their system, they've lost hope or faith in even trying to transform or make any change. People are still working with manual files, or paper in the offices, where your counterparts or even their children in their workplaces now, work in very modern styles, right? And you cannot compare the efficiency when you're trying to deliver services to 5,000 customers to when you're trying to deliver services to 200 million Nigerians. You need the highest level of technology you can find. You need the highest standard of integrity to maintain your stance and do the right thing at the right time within government. And it's these kinds of people who will drive the processes and use the technology to then improve whether it's IGR or any other service delivery that Nigerians are seeking.
So let's look at the scorecard. Ike, for instance, is one of the pride of the country as a poster boy of the private sector, if you will, at the end of the day. So give us specifics in terms of scorecard and some of what I will refer to as change hesitancy you've met in trying to achieve what you intend to achieve.
So thank you. I will just refer to the sentence you made at the poster boy of private service. Yes, he may be that, or he is that, but he quickly reminds us that his parents were public servants and the people around him were public servants. And so one of the things that spurred the development or the setup of this foundation is to bring Nigeria to the days where the public servants were the poster boys of the country, in that light. And in terms of impact, those who have gone through our programs, we've seen them do amazing things transforming their MDAs. So we've seen people, we have alumni in Lagos State who have transformed primary healthcare centers, who have reduced patient wait times. That's direct impact to Nigerians, where you normally go and spend about 2 hours waiting to receive healthcare in a primary healthcare center. That time has dropped to less than 30 minutes. We have seen, we have an alumnus in NYSC who has developed an anti-sexual harassment policy for the NYSC, which has been adopted first from FCT and then across Nigeria, right? We have also raised people who have gone from the program and become permanent secretary, right? So we've gotten people, so the idea of this program is to train both current leaders and budding leaders from grade level 12 and above, preparing them to take on leadership positions. Many of the challenges that Nigerians point to, oh, this is not happening, is because of what we call corruption. And so countering that by training people to both embody and champion integrity in public service is very key to us, because we cannot keep talking about corruption if you don't give people or show people that another way is possible. I'll give another example. We have alumni members who have automated systems and processes within their MDAs. We have one in NAFDAC who has automated dossier management process in NAFDAC. So usually the pharmaceuticals and their customers will send them loads of files or CDs, with all the different documents to review and go through before they grant approval for or licensing. And he has automated that process, and now people can submit digitally their dossiers, and NAFDAC is able to review all the documents digitally and give faster response to pharmaceuticals. So across the different sectors of Nigeria, because our training program covers public servants both in Nigeria and in Africa, actually. We have people who have come from Kenya, from Uganda, from Ghana, from South Africa, and they've been on this program and are doing the same thing in all the different countries.
So I'm glad you talked about corruption, and again, I'm going to refer to the NBS data, which is quoting that, from 2019 to 2023, what public servants used to collect as, bribe has slightly increased from about 8,000 or thereabout to 10,000 naira. So public sector corruption is still a challenge for Nigerians, and that also has impact on other issues. So how significant is the program that is offered at Ike Mokwede Foundation to help reduce public sector corruption? And if you could name specifics about how this program has transformed some MDAs, perhaps at the federal level, maybe at the state level as well.
Thank you. So the program is one that has, so on the average, we have 70 public servants in a year that we train across ministries, departments, agencies, like I said, in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa. We also realize that we will not see the kind of change you're looking for in 3 months or in 1 year. We call it a marathon, right? In a ministry, you can have 1,000 people. And out of that 1,000 people, maybe 2 or 3 have gone through this program. If they are not the people in the finance at that time, we cannot say, oh, because one person has been trained from the PLP, then this ministry has, entirely been transformed. And so we are trying to build a critical mass of public sector leaders who are growing through the ranks of leadership, and give them 3 to 5 years. They've taken over most leadership positions in Nigeria, and we can't wait to see the kind of transformative projects that they'll be implementing, or the kind of work they'll be doing at that time. But I'm giving you examples of what is happening currently in their different roles. I would also say that they have a course or a program, a module in the course called, where they have integrity sessions. Because corruption is a very endemic thing right now. And in those integrity sessions, they get to discuss the kinds of issues that you're talking about that have happened within their ministries. They get to talk about how it has affected them as people, how they've either been victims, or maybe even in the past, being roped into one of those, right? And because we can't say, oh, they're all saints in government. There are people who have done something in government, but are those who are trying to maintain integrity and make mistakes in the past, but are trying to move forward to a better path. But then they are held back by the guilt of their past. They're held back by the things they may have done before that they don't want to talk about. In these sessions, so that's what's different about this training. It's not a judgmental training. We say to you, we know you're in government, and government has a lot of stakeholders, a lot of things that play out within government. We're trying to let you see that there's a better way to govern. There's a better way to do your job. There's a way that you can make impact in integrity or through integrity. And so in these integrity sessions, they discuss with other colleagues from across ministries, from across other nations, and they see that the challenges they face within their ministries is not peculiar to them. There are other people who are going through similar pressures and have surmounted them and can share tips or share ideas of how they were able to negotiate their way out of those difficult situations. And gradually, we've been able to hear stories of people who are taking different decisions that may have previously tied them into something wrong and are taking a different path. So building leaders who can lead with integrity is very important to us, and we know we cannot transform Nigeria in 1 year.
It's impressive to see that somebody is looking at the issue of crisis of confidence within the sector and is doing something about it, which is why this conversation is quite critical. But in advancing it, how do you, or let me put it differently, what are the monitoring mechanisms you put in place to ensure that the people you're advancing this training to within the public sector own the process, own the change, and even are more like, with a religious term now, evangelize this change to other people?
So awesome. As part of the program, there's a compulsory capstone project that they have to undertake. And that makes every participant form agent, a change agent. So before you graduate, so in November, we hosted them in 1 week in Abuja. And after that program, they're then made to go back into their ministries, look for a problem that you can solve, look for a process you can transform, what process can you make more efficient through technology, how many people can you train and use all the skills you've gained here. And then they come back in March in the closing ceremony and present all these projects alongside the impacts they've been able to make within their ministries. That's one. Now, post-graduation, they join a group of alumni. So we have the Imokwede Foundation Alumni Association. They join a group of alumni and meet other people who have gone through this program before them, also get to hear about all the transformation that's going on across Africa, and join them, to develop the projects within sectors, whether educational sector or health sector, and so on. And we also have a quarterly upskilling, where we get more technical. Like I said, the PLP is a leadership training. We then get more technical to say, okay, what projects did you try to implement? What challenges are you facing? And what technical skills do you want us to then deliver or support you with that can help you drive forward? So every quarter in the year post-graduation, they go through subsequent upskilling.
Now, if we looked closely at the system, of course, I'm sure we would find public servants who have integrity and who are doing exceptionally well to transform systems and processes within their domain. So as a result, I'd like to ask if there's a reward system that the Imokwede Foundation is helping to institutionalize or put in place in partnership with the leadership of the public service, such that such work of such individuals can be amplified well above what is the norm in the civil service that is not encouraging excellence?
A very strategic question. So we work with the leadership of the public service to so we, on our part, we spotlight these exceptional public servants on our website, newsletters, talk about them everywhere. And we've seen many of them being given higher responsibilities because their integrity has been tested and proven, because they've implemented projects that have transformed their ministries or their MDAs, right? So they get given higher responsibilities, right, to manage. On our end, we've developed something called the Alumni Awards. So whether it's an innovation award where you've done something exceptional in your ministry, or it's a cluster of alumni who have come together to implement a project within a sector, we intend to identify them and reward them. So there's promotion, there's project award. So those are what we are doing, both as foundation and working with the leadership of the public service to spotlight them, recognize their work, and reward them. Then we're working with the OHCSF, that's the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. We have this annual awards where we work with the OHCSF, that's the Head of Service Office, to identify exceptional public servants across all the ministries. Public servants who are driving reforms, whether it's in innovation, in capacity building or mentoring for other staff, in digitalization, in performance management. We identify them one per ministry and we reward them annually.
Maybe this is off the cuff, but two-pronged question. How challenging is it to change people that are cast in their way by assumption now? How challenging is that? And has the foundation been able to identify successor generation of this leadership and maybe look at them differently to know what exactly is the panacea they can profile to them to be able to help the system in the long run? Because, excuse me, because you say it's a marathon.
Thank you. So I would speak to something that I even heard in the current cohort 4. I was in class when we brought a permanent secretary to come and speak to them in an in-conversation session. Because during the program, we bring the heads of service, we bring permsecs, we bring leaders in the general public sector to speak with them, real-life experiences. And after the permsec of Interior finished speaking with a cohort member raised her hand and she said, when I came on this program, I'd lost hope. And I told myself, I'm not going to go through the program. I don't know if anything can change in service. But I mean, listening to you, you've risen through the ranks in civil service. You've maintained integrity. You've done a lot of automation and digitalization across ministries. And you're here sitting in front of us as a permanent secretary. And she said, now I believe that change can happen in service. My mind has been changed. So that's one example. We also have alumni members, right, who have become change agents, mentoring people within their own MDs. So we do know that people come on board the program disillusioned, like I said, disheartened, and not. In fact, in cohort 2, I remember there was one lady who came and she said she actually applied to the program to escape being in the office because she had had it and was looking for a way of not being in the office. However, having stayed through the program, met other public servants from across Africa, her mind had been renewed. Like I said at the beginning of this conversation, a lot happens in public service that we as outsiders do not get to see and do not get to understand. Many people are in service and want to make a change, but the environment stifles them. And so bringing them together in a room and having them share their experience and their own colleagues who they can relate to, preferring solutions and giving them tips of how to navigate the politics and the negotiation terrain within government is invaluable to them. And we have seen mindsets transformed through this process.
So let's talk about the system of promotion and career advancement within the public service itself. Is one thing to acquire the training, but is another for the system, to encourage growth and career advancement. For those who may seem to stagnate because of government policy or for one reason or the other, what partnerships is the Leadership Academy offering with the leadership of the public service to ensure that there are opportunities for growth for members of the public service?
So like I said, we have examples of people who have been promoted having finished this program, right? So like I said, we spotlight them, spotlight what work they are doing, because you get promoted even in the private sector as a matter of competence, not because you spent 5-10 years in an organization. That's not a meritocratic way to promote, right? So people who have done amazing work are spotlighted, are identified, and are given higher responsibilities. People who are also on the program from their own MDAs, maybe HR personnel, right? And having been on the program and learned the importance of integrity and meritocracy in what you're doing, if there's anybody in your department before stifling anybody else's promotion illegally, then they can do something about it. Apart from POP, we have other training programs actually that we run. And on these other training programs, I'll give an example of one director who had staff who has been absent for a very long time. Having gone through the program, she then goes back and says, okay, you know what, you can't be an absentee government official. Either you show up in Abuja or you're dismissed, or you advise you to do what you should do. So all the training programs of the foundation is targeted at building capacity and pushing leaders who have integrity up the ladder. We are not a state organization. We realize that we are not non-profit. But then we work very closely with the OHCSF. We work very closely with the leadership of other MDAs to ensure that these staff are trained rightly, are given the right mindset, are made change agents. We support them also in driving this reform agenda within their ministries and in finishing it. And then with evidence, you can then assign them higher responsibilities. The newly created Ministry of Livestock, we have people on the program who have been moved to that ministry to go and champion its establishment. That's an example of giving them higher responsibilities as a result of their capacity. All right, brilliant work you guys are doing. Chioma Njokwe, the Director of Programs at the Ike Imokwede Foundation, and talking about the Ike Imokwede Foundation Public Leaders Program. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you the last leg, or towards the last leg of the program. Join us again. Welcome back. So it's time now to do a quick check on the arts, entertainment to be precise, as we have a very interesting chat, hopefully, of course, definitely, with one of Nollywood's glamorous actresses. Let's talk with Victoria Nwogu. Thank God I got that right. Hi, Victoria. Hi. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for having me. How are you doing? I'm fine. Yes, apparently. I don't think you're shy. Why are you acting shy? Sometimes. All right. Okay, so Victoria, let's start with your story, your journey. And of course, in that space, maybe you want to also talk to us about the movie that got you your big break.
So My story started from Port Harcourt, because I grew up in Port Harcourt.
Oh, you're Port Harcourt girl.
Yes.
Something in common with
I grew up in Port Harcourt.
Oh, you too?
Where did you grow up in Port Harcourt?
Ada George.
Ada George, okay. I've lived in many places.
Yeah, same here.
Woji, Diobu, D-Line.
You're Port Harcourt boy.
Ada George area, my mom lives around there.
Oh,
She
that's
that
nice.
area. So.
Yeah, my mom lives in that.
Okay, so I'm lost
Yeah,
now.
but sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, I just went to the city up here, to Garden
Yeah,
City.
just a little bit.
I've even lived in town, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, growing up in Port Harcourt, I had all my education in Port Harcourt, and so then I used to go for auditions, but auditions were not in Port Harcourt, so I would travel from school to Lagos for these auditions, and I would always put a friend's address, but when I get callbacks, I'm never really free to, travel back to Lagos to be in these films. I remember getting a callback for the audition. It was then Mnet short film, the audition, yes. And I cried so much because I couldn't leave schoolwork, and I've always wanted to be an actress, because anybody who knows me for long knows that I've always wanted to be an actress. From primary school, I would always lead drama club. I would lead dancing, girls' guide, and then I went into secondary school. In fact, everyone was sure that I was going to be social prefect, because I love entertainment and the arts. Yes. So I said, okay, so why not? Let me do this professionally. And my mom used to really frown at it, but now she's becoming a little bit flexible, with it. Yeah. So. Fast forward to 2017, when my first film aired, the screenplay. I thought I had arrived. But flesh and blood did not reveal it to me, that I still had a journey. So it was after that film that I realized that, okay, building a career is just like growing. When they give birth to you, you have to crawl, then after crawling you walk. So I started to build character, then I went on to do different other films, worked with amazing artistic filmmakers, down the line. Yeah, I've done a couple for rock. There's the recent one that I did, Ijawele, with the late iconic Onyeka Onwenu. God bless her soul. May her soul continue to rest in peace. And with Jide Kene Achufisi, it's titled Ijawele. I can't say much about it now because it's not out, but fingers crossed. Yeah, so I'm very, very, very excited about that one, and I can't wait for people to get to see it.
You mentioned school. What school?
Uniport.
Unique Uniport.
Unique Uniport.
Okay, so, but now you're in Lagos full-time?
Yes, full-time. I served in Lagos as an eco-copper.
Oh, you found your way in Lagos?
Yeah, I had to. I prayed to God. I said, God, when my mom, while she was working with DPR, I used to pray, God, please let them transfer her to Lagos. I really need to be in Lagos. And then when I used to audition for those roles, I was tiny, and in my head I thought I was big, so there were no roles for tiny teenagers.
Oh, really?
Like that, not many roles.
Okay.
For
so how have you found the Lagos space since being here? Yeah.
Very interesting. Like, it matches my energy. I like Lagos. It's very agile, very artistic. In Lagos is so fascinating, because in Lagos you would see people who are food photographers that you don't get to see in many states.
Many places, yeah.
Yeah, the opportunities are endless here. You have a lot of opportunities, So I like it in Lagos.
So talking about roles, people have their preferences. I know people who don't like to die in movies, yes. I know people who don't like raunchy scenes. I know people don't like different things. For you, so how far can you go? And what are the deal breakers, no matter what is on the table in terms of the money that's in, I ain't doing it?
Going naked, and also maybe lying in a casket. I'm not sure, but I can't really rule anything out like that now. But going naked, I'm not sure.
So what are the ones that you are really interested in? So we've talked about the ones that, it's a no-go area. The ones you really want to do.
So for story, I love storytelling.
You're doing and want to do, by the way.
Want to do, yeah. So story is king in everything. So if you have, just like 12 years a slave, Lupita had to, you know, being a slave, you have to, you know, get ready to be stripped, you know, and all that. So I liked it because it was going somewhere with that storyline. You know, they were telling a story about slavery. So I love movies that people can watch and heal from it, and also know that we also struggle. We all know that we are all flawed because we're human beings. You know, so when I want to tell more psychologically challenging roles, something that I know that storytelling may not necessarily change the world, but at least it can make the world know that you can advance, and you know, people can be redeemed. The media is a very powerful tool. Film is very powerful. A 1-minute clip, someone who, you can shoot a film in Lagos, Nigeria, or in Imo State, and someone who is in Australia or Canada will watch and get something out of it, and it can change a perspective. So that's why I love storytelling. I can't really rule out anything, but I want to do more challenging roles, more psychological roles, you know, things that can make me show my acting, my range, things that people can watch and be healed and be inspired. That's basically what I love.
Speaking of more psychologically challenging role, it could be said of your movie, although you don't want to talk much about it, Ijeawele. Yes. The storyline is quite profound about, you know, the challenge of the girl child. How challenging is it to be a producer if you could just dance around the edges of the film? Because you talked about building character in the industry. It takes a lot of time, you know, like a growing child. Yes.
So with Ijeawele, we needed to tell a story for the girl child. And I remember Madam Onyeka, in one of her videos, she said when she saw the script, she knew that this was something that she needed to do. Because when she was director, you know, she had a public office. They had some advocacy programs that supported the girl child. So we needed to tell that story because a lot of girls are facing, oh, okay, that's me. Oh, no, you're trying to get me to say this. I can't really say much, but a lot of females are struggling, which is why we can't stop telling these struggle stories about the girl child. And I do the same with my foundation, the Victoria Nwogu Outreach. I advocate for sanitary pads to at least be made free, like condoms, or for the government to at least subsidize it. It's too expensive. Even the average Nigerian female is complaining. It's not a luxury. I mean, every woman wishes she could say, Alexa, can you postpone my period for 5 years?
God forbid.
God forbid. At least come back in between so we know you're still here. But it's not a luxury. It's not something that people like. So I try to share sanitary pads to women and girls in schools, in the market, because a lot of those people are using tissue papers, and these things are not very good for the female reproductive systems. We get. So we need the government to, you know, look into the girl child, look into these sanitary pads. I've been talking about it. I'm not going to stop because it is too expensive.
It's now 1,000 naira.
Even more than 1,000 on the island.
That is not fair.
On the island, it's more than 1,000. And because of stress level, some females, we can see period twice in a month. And how many pads do you use? Sometimes you can use up to 3 pads. Is that even nice? It's not fair. I mean, sometime in 2020, Scotland made their sanitary products free. So I'm just hoping the government can do that.
So are we telling enough story? Let's stay with the issue of the woman and the female and the girls especially on this. Are we telling enough story to get the attention of the authorities to see that whatever reforms you're looking at, this is an aspect that you have been ignoring? You need to do something. From the movie industry,
yes,
are we telling enough story?
Yes, we are. But the problem now is the government, are they really watching? do they really like what we're doing? We want to be sure that they like what we're doing, that they see us, because Nollywood has gone global. We have streaming platforms here. In fact, we have some of our movies doing #1 on globally in these international streaming platforms. You know, so we have Afrobeats too have gone global. In fact, the foreign entertainers, if you want to trend on social media, just use a Nigerian song in your reel or make a reference to something Nigerian. All Nigerians will put their flags.
Okay.
So we need the government. We want them to know. We want to know that they are seeing us.
They are seeing you. Whether they are hearing is a different thing. Curse them, whether they won't come for you. So they are seeing you, absolutely, Bukola.
All right. We want to thank you so much. We have more questions, but we must anchor at this point, and thank you for your time. Wish you the very best. I'm looking forward to that movie, Ija Willy. Yes, it's a profound story. And we wish you, more success in your career exploits.
My Port Harcourt sister, by the way. Shout out to PH City.
Yeah. I'm from Imo State. But I grew up in.
Why are you denying me just
No. I'm Port Harcourt girl, but I come from Imo State.
That is acceptable.
In case my state governor.
All right, Victoria, the pretty Victoria Nwogu has been our guest today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a break now. When we return, we have more for you. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
All right, let's stay with the creative economy, and this time we're going to talk numbers as well as its contribution to the Nigerian economy. As at the last GDP numbers we saw, it grew at about from 45 to about 60-something%, an increase of about 15%, but its contribution to the GDP is still marginal. It's about 0.2. So now we have Ministry of Creative Economy, Art, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. And we have joining us on the program the Special Assistant to the President on Creativity, Baba Agba, joins us in Lagos. I almost say Abuja because all of you are always in Abuja. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you tell the President about the industry?
I mean, the creative industry is one of the very key and pivotal industries for the country, and I think just generally economically. But I think it's something that is not usually appreciated. So we have the view that creativity, the creative economy is a key driver. We're in the decade of storytelling. It's a real point we can use to create jobs quick and deliver jobs quick, deliver economic growth. I know you started off with the contribution numbers, but not quite correct. But
no, it's correct. It's data. So you can't say
what I mean is not quite correct. It depends. So we'll go into the semantics of where the data is coming from. But one thing we generally...
You are the government. You work for the government. You can't be debating MBS number with me on TV.
So, no, not debating. So we're working with MBS because, like I said, one of the first things we did is to say what's the creative economy and fully establish. So we worked that out with them, looking at the international comparables and how all that's calculated. So there will be a rebasing of that because a lot of creative activities are captured in other sectors just because they overlap. So,
I totally agree with that because that rebasing, we've been waiting for it for a very long time. We know that the sector has a lot of potential and is doing a lot. But before I hand over to my colleague to ask other questions, the reason I asked the question about what are you telling the president is because of you're a special advisor to the president. In terms of the urgency we need if we really want to scale. Because, for instance, when you look at the GDP numbers, the non-oil sector contributed 95%. Oil sector contributed 5%. But oil is our biggest cash cow. That simply means, in terms of the economics, it simply means that value addition is very minimal. Few people are employed because we just carry crude and go out. Thank God for the backward integration. But the potential to scale, keep the jobs here, make the money here, is also within the creative economy. So that should push some sense of urgency. Is the government pushing that sense of urgency from where you sit?
Yes, so coming in, what we looked at. So I work directly with the minister in terms of putting out the strategy and what we're doing. So what we've sort of done is create a strategic roadmap, because it was like, you're coming in ground zero, like you said, there's a lot of potential, but what's really happening? Where's everything? There's a lot that's happening under the table, in the shadow, let's say in the shadow economy. So looking at what's on ground, looking at baseline countries, benchmark countries, what are they doing? What's the contribution like? How have they gone around developing this? So whether you're talking about South Korea, what's going on in the Middle East, what's happening in more established markets like in Europe, let's say Germany, France, the UK, look at the US, and then say, okay, how does that compare to what we have? And then what's the best way forward? So without being able to develop a strategic framework, working with the best people globally that have done this, EY, McKinsey, BCG. And so, that's been adopted at the, federal level. The president's okayed that. VP actually launched it last year. And so we've been going through different phases of implementation. So you first look at the policy side, you look at the regulatory and the legislative side. So what's the sort of governance structure like? You look at the infrastructure side of it, the infrastructure stock, you look at the talent base, the capacity base. So we have a lot of talent, but how you put in this talent in a way that they can be the most productive they can be. Then financing, what are you doing for that? So 23rd of October, the president's approved for us to set up the Creative Economic Development Fund, which is meant to be debt, quasi-debt equity, but it's a financing platform and structure for the industry. And, Afrexim Bank has committed $200 million to that. But, there's other stuff going on in the policy
work. They've committed, or they are pledging?
They've committed it to it. Okay. So now we're setting up that structure, and then the funds can come in there. So on the IP side, we had the stakeholder validation for the IP policy. That was in October. So just finalizing to go to effect so it gets approved. But that would then set the framework for how we really look at intellectual properties. And like I said, it's a decade of ideas, right? Intellectual properties and ideas rule the world. Look at every developed economy. And so because we're in the sort of creative economy, it's more copyright, but intellectual property is copyright, industrial property, geographical indicators. There's a whole bunch of other things that cut across about 8 or 7 ministries. So health, agri, tech. But the point is, Nigerians are gifted. They have a lot of ideas, and we have to give them the platform to be able to monetize them. So, but for you to do that, you have to tweak the marketplace, right? Get the economics right. That opens up the enabling environment and gives them, the runway for them to do what they need to do.
Okay, so tell us more about this framework that is being developed for professionals within the creative economy to have access this Creative Economic Development Fund and the IP monetization. And this question is important because there have been other funds in the past for some sectors of the economy, but they failed. They never saw the light of day. Okay. So what is being put on ground to ensure sustainability? And perhaps you could tell us more about this framework for this seed fund. Yeah,
so if we go into a bit of the history, I think there's been, let's say from a large overview perspective, let's say 2 federal funds looking at the industry. Largely, you have the National Endowment for the Arts, which was actually, the law was passed, the act was passed in November 1991, but was never activated. So that one's in one corner. And then the second side is you had the Nolly Fund, but then that was just looking at the film sector, and that was about 10 plus years ago, probably about $40 million worth. But what we looking at it, what's different from what we're doing is that you had a fund, but you didn't really have a proper structure or institution set up for how to manage the fund, disperse the fund, and key into the National Development Plan. So with this, what we're doing is setting it up properly to say money's coming in, how do people need money? And you're probably referring to the other funds by other organizations like Afrexim and the rest globally. But what we have to look at is the creative industry is a very unique space. Money is there, fine. But how does that money need to come into the industry for the industry to be able to access it? So is it for infrastructure? The people playing in infrastructure have a different way and a different procedure of how their business goes, and they can move in a different direction. The people doing content, it's a completely different beast. So you almost have to have this specially curated. So think of it almost like a creatives bank in a sense, where now this is specially being designed for creatives, using the experience. So personally, I'm a filmmaker. I'm a photographer, cinematographer, producer. So I've interacted with all these financial houses when they've always called and spoken with stakeholders, and you always had these bottlenecks of things like, what's the guarantee structure like? How you be able to underwrite the money, collateral, and it's fine. You have something that's interesting, but then you also have the marketplace issue where they're asking you for like a sales or pre-sales agreement or like a distributor commitment, a minimum guarantee from a distributor, and all these things.
So are all those details clear now?
Yeah. So that's part of what we're factoring in. So what you mentioned, for instance, the IP monetization. monetization, because for us, that's what we have as value. So how do we create that structure where IP can be monetized, IP has value, IP can be your collateral, so creatives can come with their ideas, put it together, show them how they can put it in the framework.
So for context, IP is intellectual property.
Yes, intellectual property. Exactly. For every general framework, we'll be using it. Yeah. So because that's the main thing, so that's what creatives trading. We don't, we create ideas. Other people might have physical assets, but we have these concepts and ideas that have value and that can be monetized. It's interesting to see that you're trying to convert this to a sellable commodity, if you will, if it's more like something that we can buy into. Because I saw some of those documents, I said, this is pretty ambitious if I have to put my money in this. And some of us will dare to put our money at some point and see how it works, just to give the system a chance. But in closing, how much of the buy-in and education are you bringing to the people that are really practicing? You and I can understand all this sophisticated conversation, but the practitioners down the line, not everyone may be, perhaps those above, because by the end of the day, it's an industry that everybody needs to have a seat on the table. So it's a very interesting one. So obviously creative industries is massive. We have a lot of agencies and a lot of heads for the different agencies, and thankfully almost pretty much everybody's from the industry. So we always have regular engagements at the ministry level, at the agency level, and communicate these things. A lot of them have also been part of developing these things, these structures. So we've had a lot of stakeholder engagements, maybe not the big massive town hall type ones you see, but more like working sessions, and that's always been going on rolling. And I hear you that a lot of people might not be able to get it, might not be able to key into it, but that's where, let me say, on the design side, for the consumer-facing side, it has to be really distilled in a way that people can go in, and also for us to structure how it goes. Because are you going to have a situation where every single filmmaker is trying to key into it, or a situation where there are sort of clusters and the clusters key into it and then it trickles down? So there are different models we're playing with. All right, we wish you guys the very best. We're going to be looking at the reporting.
We're going to come back to him.
We're going to come back to you.
How it's being executed.
Yes, at the end of the day,
I look forward to coming back.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when I saw the model, it's more like what they do for startups, where you can also keep your own stake. While investors are coming in without you losing your stake because some investors coming in. I've read some of the documents. It's ambitious, we must say. But Clem Agba, special advisor to the president on Baba Agba.
Well, I'm also Clem Agba.
I brought your father into the conversation. Baba Agba, my friend. My
apologies. Agba is a big family, right?
No, it doesn't want to say.
It doesn't want to
Baba Agba, special advisor to the president on creativity. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And that's it on the program, the weekend edition. Thank you so much for your time and company. Top of the hour is Sunrise Daily. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. Bye-bye.
Of course, so many things are still developing and we're following them for you. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed weekend. I am Bukola Kuka. Bye for now.